Hello and welcome to my review of the Necron Immortals. This set of 5 miniatures will cost you £20.50 if you were to buy them separately. However, they are included in the Forgebane expansion set that Games Workshop released a couple of weeks ago, which is £95, so it's £75 for everything else if you want to look at it that way. And a set of 5 also come in the new Necron Start Collecting Bot set, which is £50. So you're essentially getting all the other goodies in there for £30. Now I've equipped all of mine with Tesla carbines. I thought long and hard between these and the Gauss blasters or Gauss blasters, whatever you want to call it, and I picked the Tesla carbines just because of weight of fire, and each roll of 6+ causes 3 hits instead of 1, which is absolutely astronomical. And yeah, if you do manage to get 10 6s, which is unheard of, you're then looking at 30 shots instead of 10, which is incredible when you think about it, for a squad size of only 5. You get a lot of spare parts with this kit, and I'll show you those in a moment. So let's have a look at the models. Quite straightforward, quite basic models. I want to say they came out 2014. I'm sure that's what the sprue said, so that's good 4 years ago. A bit of a refresh. They're sort of metal skeleton warriors, basically, with these Tesla carbines. They're connected, hardwired directly into the spine there. Probably back into their power source, maybe they've got some power sources within their weapon itself. They're decent looking models. I do like their heads, and they're on the 32mm bases. They're kind of like your warriors, but just what I personally would envisage Necrons to be. I mean, the warriors models are really old now. I think they're 2001 or whatever, so really old models. And there we go. Here's another one. You can't really put them in too many poses. The arms will pretty much only go sort of one way because of the reach and the angle of the gun. The arm is connected to the weapon as well. So again, it's very quite kind of restricted. However, once you've glued the arm and the weapon to the torso and maybe even the head, you can then put the torso onto the hips and move it about. You can pose it high, low, in lots of different directions. So at least you've got that posability that some of the newer kits don't give you. So you do lack in terms of the arms, but that makes up with the sort of torso posing, and the head as well. The head, you can move that head on that joint as much as you want. And it's a similar story for all the other models. I've tried to get them in some kind of moving pose, some kind of firing pose, like that one. He's sort of, lifting his weapon up, and this one sort of running forward. It's a bit of a strange pose, that one. He's sort of got his gun quite far away from him, but yeah, no doubt I'll probably get I've got another set of these in the Start Collecting set. This is the Forgebane set right here, and I'll be turning them into death marks. Yeah, if I get another set in the future, I'll probably go for the heavy Gauss blasters. I think that's quite a good pose as well. So there you go. That's all the 5 models. Very quick and easy to build and put together. You won't have any issues at all. There are a few mold lines here and there, but nowhere near as bad as sort of like the Lich Guard. Okay, time for the spare parts. Okay, so let's have a look at the spare parts then for these. So I'll just bring them into a shot here. Lots and lots of spare parts, as you can see. I don't know how useful these are going to be to you, but as you can see, here are kind of like the Deathmark, I want to say carapaces, but they're kind of like the back part of their torsos there. You've got the Gauss weaponry with these that just slot on there. Interesting that they've got kind of like a blade on these blasters too. These are the synaptic or disintegrator weapons, really kind of like nice long rifle type sniper rifle kind of weapons. Really cool looking. You've got these ends that go on the Gauss blasters, just go on that like so. Very intimidating kind of looking weapons, the Necron weaponry. And then you've got the Deathmark heads, which just have these like one lens in them or whatever they are. So, and then you've got some bits and bobs, different arms and things. So yeah, a fair amount of spare parts, but how useful you'll find them, yeah, it's really up to you, because I don't think it gives you that many sort of left arms, I want to say. You get a fair few heads, which I suppose you could put on bases and things or trophies, but look, you only really get about 3 left arms. So even if you were to get like some other Necrons really on the cheap or second hand, you're only going to have 3 left arms to sort of play with in using these weapons. So there you go, they're the spare parts. I always like to include these in videos. Okay, and now on to some size comparisons. So I would like to compare them firstly to a few other Necron models, one being the Overlord. The Overlord is head and shoulders to these Immortals, you know, a fair bit taller than them. Definitely you'd be able to spot the Overlord in amongst them if they were making use of his resurrection orb or whatever, his thy will be done kind of rule. They are smaller than the Overlord. Also, next to the Cryptek, well, obviously the Cryptek's a lot taller than the Overlord anyway, so that's a win for the Cryptek too. And then a Wraith. It's just interesting to see how these models sort of stack up with the other models in the Necron range. So again, obviously smaller than Wraiths too. I mean, they are the kind of standard troops. These and Warriors are the standard troops for Necrons. They're the only troop choices in the book anyway. And then finally the Lich Guard. Lich Guard are, I want to say, the Lich Guard are a little bit taller, if you can make it out from that angle. Maybe if it's probably better if I do it this way. Yeah, they're just a little bit taller. Shoulders a little bit taller, but it's the head and the head ornament kind of thing that makes them tall, and they're kind of you know, exoskeleton spines that give them that extra height. But on all intents and purposes, very, very similar height-wise, whether you go for these Immortals or Lich Guard or Triarch Praetorians or whatever they're called. Standard troop choices, normal sort of size for the army. I think it's worth doing some size comparisons with Space Marines. So a normal Space Marine is smaller than a Necron Immortal. Hopefully you can see that. So yeah, taller than a normal Space Marine. But then when we look at the Primaris Space Marine, Primaris Space Marines are now taller than your Necron Immortals. So again, I think that's an important size comparison to make. If you're going against Primaris, your Primaris are going to be taller than the Necron troop choices. Okay, so this is the part of my review where I'll talk to you about all of the rules for the Necron Immortals. You'll find them in your brand new 8th edition Necrons Codex under the troop choices. They are a power points cost of a 4, which makes them cheaper than the Warriors, although they are going to have to pay for their weapons. Default weapons that they come equipped with are the Gauss blasters, and they will set you back 9 points per model, with the Tesla carbines also being 9 points per model. Immortals are 8 points per model normally, with Warriors being 12, but when you add their weapons, you're looking at 17 points each. So that's 85 points for the whole squad. You compare that to a squad of 10 Necron Warriors. 10 Necron Warriors, their Gauss flares are free anyway. That's going to be 120 points. So they're not as expensive as 10 Necron Warriors, but they certainly are more expensive than 5 Warriors, if that all makes sense. Their power points cost is a 4, and the Necron Warriors points cost is a 6. The unit contains 5 Immortals, and you can include up to 5 additional Immortals with a power rating of +4, and each model is armed with a Gauss blaster. That differs slightly from the Necron Warriors, whereby you've got 10 Warriors, and you may include up to 10 additional Necron Warriors. You can have 20 with the Warriors and 10 with the Immortals as one sort of troop choice. How does their stat line look then? Well, their movement is 5 inches. They've got a weapon skill of 3+, ballistic skill of 3+, strength is 4, toughness 4, 1 wound, 1 attack, leadership 10, and a save of 3+. That's a key thing to remember here. You compare that stat line to the Necron Warriors, and the only difference there is the save. The Warriors get a worse save of a 4+, these Immortals get a 3+. Weaponry, I've already mentioned that their default weapon is a Gauss Blaster. However, the entire unit can replace the Gauss Blasters with Tesla Carbine, so you can't have a mixture of them in there. How good is a Gauss Blaster? Well, it's certainly better than a Gauss Flare. It's still rapid fire 1 and a range of 24 inches, but it's a better strength at strength 5, and it's an AP -2 instead of -1. It's also a damage 1. The Tesla Carbines, on the other hand, same range, however this time they're assault 2, same strength, strength 5, 0 AP though, but a damage of 1, and each hit roll of 6+, the weapon causes 3 hits instead of 1. In my opinion, that's what separates them from the Gauss Blasters and the Gauss Flares, in that on your 6s, you're getting 3 hits. You're getting triple the amount of hits than you normally would. So that's very, very decent. Their abilities, just the reanimation protocols with both these and the Warriors. And reanimation protocols, basically you just roll a d6 for each slain model from the unit at the beginning of the turn, and on 5+, the models returned back to the unit with a full complement of wounds. So they've got the survivability there, they've got the 3+ normal save, and then they've got the reanimation protocols. Also, you can buff them up even more by having a Cryptek with the Technomancer, or a Chronometron that gives them the 5+ invulnerable save against ranged weaponry. That's pretty decent. You know, you get a squad of 10 of these with a Cryptek all moving about, and all of a sudden you've got a unit there that has 5+ invulnerables and 3+ normal saves that can dish out, well, 20 shots base, but a potential of 60 shots. Yeah, I know it's almost impossible to get 26s, but you see where I'm coming from. The keywords are Necrons, Dynasty, Infantry and Immortals. So why would you pick them over the Warriors? Well, as mentioned before, they've got a better save and their standard weapons are better. They are a bit more pricier, you know, 5 of them cost more than 5 Warriors, but I think that price is justified. You're getting a unit here that can dish out a fair bit of damage, a fair number of shots at a decent range that is survivable too. Necron Warriors, I don't think I'd even give them the time of day, to be fair. You can have a lot of bodies on the table with Necron Warriors, and they'll be quite resilient, especially if you've given them the invulnerable saves and the reanimation protocols and things like that. But the Immortals have that chance to actually cause a fair bit of damage too. Necron Warriors, they may be resilient and be in a large amount of numbers, but at least the Immortals can hit back. I don't think I'd have them in a squad of 5 though, even though their leadership is incredible at 10. I think I'd probably have them in a squad of 10 that would definitely challenge objectives. Before I go, I just wanted to mention that this kit, you can have the Gauss Blasters or the Tesla Carbines, but you can also make death marks. Now, I'll be doing a separate review of death marks that will appear on the channel soon, but I just want to mention that death marks, they're an elite choice. They have the same save as Immortals, but they're synaptic disintegrators. They can cause the mortal wounds. You've pretty much got 3 different units out of this one kit. So if you were going to get it separately for £20, then it's still a very decent kit that can create some good units for the Necron army. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the Necron Immortals. What do you guys think? Do you not leave home without them? How do you use them with all of your other units? Please do put it in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. All hail the machine.